Judy Smith, a vibrant and loving wife, vanished without a trace during a trip to Philadelphia with her husband in 1997. Initially thought to be a simple case of getting lost in a new city, the plot thickens when months later, her remains are found in the rugged mountains of North Carolina, hundreds of miles away from where she was last seen. Clues are scarce, and the questions are many. How did she end up so far from Philadelphia? Join us as we unravel the tragedy of Judy Smith, page by page. Judy Smith was born on December 15, 1946, as Judith Eldridge. Not much is known publicly about Judy's early life. We do know that Judy married 3 different times. The first marriage ended when her husband fled to Sweden to avoid being drafted in the war. Her second marriage resulted in her 2 children, Craig and Amy Bradford. Judy met her third husband, Jeffrey Smith, while working as a home health nurse in Newton, Massachusetts in 1986. Judy devoutedly cared for Jeff's father, and the two ended up dating for 10 years before they would marry in 1996. Jeff worked as an attorney for many years. In April of 1997, Jeff was due to speak at the Northeast Pharmaceutical Conference at the Doubletree Hotel in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Judy, who was 50 years old at that time, decided to accompany Jeff to the conference, and afterwards, both of them would travel to New Jersey to see their friends. On April 9, 1997, Jeff and Judy traveled to the Logan Airport in Boston to board their 1:30 p.m. flight. However, upon arrival, Judy realized that she had left her driver's license at home and could not board without it. Jeff was scheduled to speak at the conference later that day and could not miss the flight himself. So the two planned for Judy to take a later flight alone and to meet up once she flew into Philadelphia. Later that night, Judy and Jeff met, with Judy bringing apology flowers in tow for the earlier incident. The two then ordered room service and went to sleep. On April 10th, 1997, Judy and Jeff awoke and prepared for their day. Jeff will be at the conference until 5 p.m., and Judy had the day all to herself. Judy told Jeff that she planned to go sightseeing on a flash bus tour. She planned to also make stops at Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. They then planned to meet back at the hotel shortly after 5 p.m. Judy set out at 9 a.m., and Jeff went to the conference. Around 5:30 p.m., Jeff arrived at their hotel room, but found that Judy was nowhere to be found. At this point, Jeff saw no reason to be concerned. There was a cocktail party downstairs starting at 6 p.m. that they were both expected to attend. He then assumed that Judy was just going to meet him there. Jeff went down to the party, but found that Judy was not there either. Until approximately 6:30 p.m., Jeff went back and forth from their hotel room to the party, looking for Judy. Hours later, and still no sign of Judy, Jeff called anyone that she could have known or contacted during that day, including her children, to see if anyone had heard from her. Jeff even had his daughter go to their home to check the answering machine for any signs from Judy. There were no messages, and no one had heard from Judy. Jeff left the hotel and called for a taxi. He asked the driver to follow the tour bus route that Judy had said she was taking earlier that morning. Jeff searched all over the city trying to find Judy, or at least any clues on where she could have went. Jeff checked in with all the local hospitals and the police station to see if they had any information for him, but unfortunately, neither did. Just past midnight on September 11th, Jeff went to the police department to officially report Judy missing, but they told him that it was too soon to file a report. After a lengthy discussion, the officer on duty ended it by saying that if she did not show up throughout the night, he should come back the next day. Thankfully, the Philadelphia mayor, Ed Rendell, was attending the same conference as Jeff. Once Ed learned that Judy was missing, he helped Jeff get an official investigation started earlier than the typical 48-hour wait for adults. During the early hours of that investigation, Jeff did notice something strange when he checked through Judy's belongings in their hotel room. He noticed that only one of her outfits was missing. It was the outfit that she wore on her flight the day before. Presumably, she had put this in her red backpack that she carried everywhere. He also believed that she carried $200 in cash before she left. Once the news reached Judy's children, both Craig and Amy flew out to help the search. They searched by foot and also by bicycle to avoid the city traffic. They both spoke with multiple eyewitnesses to try and track their mother down. Everyone put up flyers all over town in hopes to get leads, and even put her information on national news outlets. Some of the eyewitnesses reported seeing a woman fitting Judy's description near the Greyhound bus station. Some even reported seeing her leave on a Greyhound bus. Others reported seeing a woman resembling Judy being disoriented, delusional, and speaking in tongues. However, this has been explained as a homeless woman in the area who looked almost identical to Judy. Even Judy's own son mistook this woman as his mother. Unfortunately, it was not. Investigators at this point began to narrow down the movements of Judy on April 10th. A hotel employee at the DoubleTree said that Judy asked where she could catch the tour bus. The bus driver from the tour did in fact pick Judy up from the hotel and dropped her off at around 3 p.m. Even with all this information, though, no one knew where Judy could have ended up. Once news had spread of the investigation, leads from other states started pouring into the investigators. That's when a woman came forward with a confusing tip. The woman worked as a cashier at Macy's in the Deptford Mall in New Jersey and claimed that she had encountered Judy while working. She stated that the alleged Judy even commented that she was shopping for her family, but her daughter never liked the clothes that she picked out for her. The woman even went on to say that her husband was at a conference. The mall itself was only 22 miles from Philadelphia, and this could have possibly been Judy. After investigators conferred with Amy, she confirmed that this did in fact sound like her mother. But after some time in the store, the cashier said that if the woman was indeed Judy, she seemed very confused. The alleged Judy apparently tried to get a young woman to leave the store with her, stating that the woman was her daughter. These tips alone, however, did not lead the investigation any closer to a conclusion. Over the next 5 months, Jeff had mailed and faxed over 9,000 copies of her missing persons poster. He had also hired 3 different private investigators, one who had potentially seen Judy the day after she disappeared, but no one could turn up any clues as to where Judy had gone. An article published on August 31st, 1997, came out in Philadelphia, where Detective Anthony Buccinico had the following to say: "I don't think she's in Philadelphia any longer, if she ever was. We had a lot of people searching. If she was here very long, we would have found her. Or if something happened to her, we would have found her body." Another unnamed investigator had the following to say as well: "She was supposedly here one night, then went off by herself the next morning, but she had friends at the convention and nobody saw her." And another said, "There were so many strange coincidences, you don't know what to think. She didn't get on the plane with him. They meet in the lobby. They go to breakfast separately. And she doesn't have much female stuff in the hotel room. But Judy's husband and daughter did not agree with the speculation from these investigators, with Amy saying, if he, Jeff, says she was in Philadelphia, she was there. It makes me mad that there's any doubt at all about that. Jeff also agreed that Judy would not have disappeared voluntarily. He claimed that she was happy. But even if she had wanted to run away, why would she come with him to Philadelphia in the first place? Jeff's only theory as to what could have happened is that somehow, while touring the city, Judy became disoriented and confused. This confusion could then cause her to wander away from the city. This theory is improbable, however, because just 2 weeks before traveling, Judy had a physical done and was found to be completely healthy. Amy ended her thought by saying, rationally, I know something must have happened to her, but I try to think that she left on her own and she's okay, even though I know she wouldn't do that. But I try to think she did, because that helps my peace of mind. For 5 months, Jeff, family, friends, and Philadelphia investigators were stumped and baffled as to what could have possibly happened to Judy Smith. It wouldn't be until September of 1997 that her case would finally move some ground. On September 7th, 1997, a father and son went out to hunt in the Mount Pisgah National Forest. Around the Stony Fork picnic area, the duo discovered human skeletal remains scattered around the area. A wild animal appeared to have found the body and dispersed the remains everywhere. There were some bones that had remained in place, and these were wrapped in a blue blanket, partially buried in a shallow grave. Also with the bones was $167 in cash, a blue and black backpack, winter hiking clothes, boots, a wedding ring, and expensive sunglasses. The clothing, however, looked as if the person had been stabbed repeatedly. This included a bra that had cuts and punctures. An examination of the remains placed the victim as a white woman between 40 to 55 years old, with an arthritic left knee and extensive dental work, who had been killed months before. The official cause of death was that she had been fatally stabbed, and her death was classified as a homicide. 65 miles away, in Franklin, North Carolina, an emergency room physician read an article released on the Jane Doe that was found. He had a potential connection for Judy through the arthritic left knee, information that he had learned from one of Jeff's flyers. The physician sent the article to the Philadelphia Police Department, who requested Judy's dental records from Jeff. He obliged, and the records were sent out to Asheville. By the end of September, the examination was complete. The dental records a match, and the remains would be that of Judy Smith. After the news hit Judy's daughter Amy, she was in a state of disbelief, saying the following: I was shocked. I guess you always anticipate that your parent will die, but not early. We always talked about when I would have kids and looking forward to that day. And I guess I just never thought that she wouldn't be there for that. Once the connection was made, investigators did not believe that most of the items found with Judy's remains were actually hers. Some even believed that these items were from the suspect. The investigators also do not believe that this was a case of robbery, as the money and wedding ring remained there with Judy. How did Judy end up 605 miles southwest from her last alleged sighting in New Jersey? After the discovery of Judy's remains, 4 eyewitnesses came forward with more potential sightings of her in Asheville. One of them was a retail clerk named Joanne Stucker, and she had the following to say about the alleged sighting of Judy in April of 1997. "She seemed very alert to me. She was very pleasant. I didn't see anything about her that would indicate that she wasn't right in any way. She told me her husband was an attorney and that they were from Boston, and that they had been in Pennsylvania and he was at a convention, and she had decided to come down here." Joanne also noted that the woman she spoke to had a red backpack, just like the one Judy always carried with her. An employee at the Biltmore estate recalled seeing Judy as well. Then, the owner of an Asheville campground, near where her remains were found, recalled seeing Judy drive up in a gray sedan filled with boxes and bags. He claims that Judy asked if she could spend the night there in her car, but drove off when he refused. Even a local deli owner came forward and claimed to have seen Judy driving a gray sedan before entering a shop, buying $30 worth of sandwiches and a toy truck before driving off. What's most strange at this point is that Judy had not used any of her credit cards during this time and still had most of the cash on her from before. How did she get that gray sedan? And what was in the boxes and bags inside of it? Unfortunately, this case is run cold, and no one has been arrested for the murder of Judy Smith. There are some theories, however, on what could have happened to her. Gary Hilton was dubbed the National Forest serial killer of the Asheville and Smoky Mountain area. Gary had murdered an elderly couple hiking in the Mount Pisgah National Forest. The female victim would later be discovered only a mile away from where Judy's remains were discovered. This, however, would be the only possible connection Gary would have to Judy's case. Another theory was that Judy never went to Philadelphia and that Jeff had gone alone. This would make Jeff the primary suspect. This was fueled by the fact that very few eyewitnesses saw Judy on April 10th. But when records were pulled for Judy's flight, it was confirmed that she boarded and flew to Philadelphia. Thus, this theory did not hold water. Investigators also ruled Jeff out as a suspect due to his health issues. Jeff was described as morbidly obese and would most likely not be physically capable of murdering Judy in the way she was found, nor carrying her remains to the steep hillside where she was buried. An investigator for Buncombe County believed that Judy stumbled upon her murderer while hiking, but traveled willingly to Asheville previously. Some believed that Judy had met with someone, potentially a lover in Asheville, but was then met with foul play. However, some of Judy's closest friends suspected that Judy may have deliberately orchestrated her own disappearance, but the reason for this remains unknown. One of those friends was Carolyn Dickey, who said the following about Judy. At the time this happened, Jeff and Judy's marriage was very tenuous. I believe that something did happen that triggered her to want to have some time away from Jeff. This directly conflicts with what Jeff and Amy have expressed about Judy's marriage, saying that the couple was happy and content. How did Judy end up 605 miles away in Asheville, North Carolina? Where is her red backpack? Was someone after her? Ultimately, in a case like this, all we are left with are theories, bizarre turns, and unanswered questions. Unfortunately, there was no closure for the Smith family, with Jeff passing away in 2005. So as we close this book and prepare for the next one, what do you think happened to Judy Smith? I'm your host, Bob Hicks, and I'll see you in our next video.